Section 10.4, the determinant of the square matrix. So that's how to represent the determinant of the square matrix. So if you have determinant of the matrix A or these two lines, that means go ahead, find the determinant for the matrix A. So let's start with example 2. We're going to find the determinant for this matrix. When you have the matrix with 2 rows and 2 columns, to find the determinant, you're going to multiply 8 times 3. Always start from this number. 8 times 3. That's need to find the determinant for the matrix. Let's say this is the matrix A. Is going to be 8 times 3 minus 2 times 4. 8 times 3 minus 2 times 4. If you start from this number, it's going to be wrong. So always start from this number. 8 times 3 minus 2 times 4. So this one is going to be 8 times 3 is going to be 24. And 2 times 4 is going to be 8. Now 24 minus 8 is going to be equal 16. So the determinant for the matrix A or for question number 2 is going to be 16. That's it for this example. We're going to do the same thing with example 3. Find the determinant. We have the matrix 8, negative 8, 2, negative 5. To find the determinant for this matrix is going to be started from this number, 8 times negative 4. And be careful. 8 times negative 5, sorry, minus negative 8 times 4, times 2. So negative 8 times 2. So 8 times negative 5 is going to be negative 40 minus negative 8 times negative 2 is going to be negative 16. Then after that, that's why you have to be careful from the sign, because if you do any mistakes, everything is going to be wrong if you do mistakes with the sign. So now, next step, we're gonna multiply these two signs. So it's going to be negative 40, negative times negative positive 16. And the result is going to be negative 24. That means the result or the determinant for this matrix is going to be negative 24. For number 4, we're going to do the same steps. Find the determinant. So I'm going to start from this one. So negative 5 times 0, negative 5 times 0 minus 0 times 7. So negative 5 times 0 is going to be 0, minus 0 times 7 is going to be 0, and the result is going to be 0. That means for number 4 is going to be 0. For number 5, we're going to do the same thing. We need to find the determinant for this matrix. Be careful, we have fractions here. So to find the determinant, always I'm going to start from this number. It's going to be negative half times 1 over 7 minus 1 over 7 times negative 7. So 1 over 7 times negative 7. Now, if I do multiplication between two fractions, I'm going to do straight across multiply. So this one is going to be negative 1 over 14 Negative times negative will be positive 7/7, because this is over 1. -1 times -7 is positive 7/7. 7/7 is going to be 1. So you have two options. You want to keep it as a 7/7, or you want to simplify it and add it to -1/14. Both is going to be the right option. If you want to simplify it, what I'm going to do here, because I need to add this fraction with this one, so I'm going to multiply this one by 2 and this one by 2. So I'm going to get 1/14 plus 14/14. Now I have the same denominator. That means it's going to be 14. -1 plus 14 is going to be 13. So our determinant for this matrix is going to be 13/14. If you want to simplify this one, 7 divided by 7 is going to be 1. But now we have to add -1/14 plus 1. It's going to be the same steps. So it's up to you how you're going to add these two fractions. So he's going to be 13 divided by 14. We got it right. Let's move to example 6. We're going to do the same thing with example 6. Example 6, we have two matrices, A and B. We need to find the determinant for the matrix A, determinant for the matrix B. Then we're going to find the multiplication between A and B, then the determinant for the multiplication. So here is the matrix A, and here is the matrix B. Now let's find the determinant for the matrix A. Determinant for matrix A is going to be -1 times 3 minus 0 times 0. And then it's going to be -1 times 3 is going to be -3 minus 0, and the result is going to be -3. The same thing, determinant for the matrix B is going to be 4 times -1 minus 0 times 0. And it's going to be 4 times -1 is going to be -4. 0 times 0 is going to be 0. The result is going to be -4. Now, C, we need to find A times B. So here is the matrix A, -1, 0, 0, 3, times the matrix B, 4, 0, and 0, -1. So the first row times the first column. The result is going to be -1 times 4 is going to be -4 plus 0 times 0. And -1, the first row times the second column. So -1 times 0 is going to be 0 plus 0 times -1 is going to be 0. Now, the second row with the first column, so 0 times 4 is going to be 0, and the 3 times 0 is going to be 0. The second row times the second column, so 0 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 3 times -1 is going to be -3. That means the result here is going to be, this is -4, 0, 0, -3. So this is the matrix A times B. Now to find the determinant for A times B, which is D, is going to be equal -4 times -3. I'm going to start from this number, minus 0 times 0. So it will be -4 times -3 minus 0 times 0. That's going to be 12 minus 0, and the result is going to be 12. So that's it for this example. So the determinant for the matrix A is going to be -3. For the matrix B is going to be -4. And A times B is going to be -4, 0, 0, -3. And the determinant for the matrix AB is going to be 12. That's it for this example. We got it right. Let's move to number 7. Now, number 7, we have a 3 times a 3 matrix. So there is different way to find the determinant for the matrix if you have a 3 times a 3. Let's check how we're going to solve this example. For example 7, we have a 3 times a 3 matrix. So let's start with the matrix A. The way to find the determinant for the matrix A, the first step I'm going to do, I'm going to say this is a plus minus a plus. The same thing for the matrix A, this is a plus minus plus, always. Now let's start to find the determinant for this matrix. I'm going to start with the first number. So the determinant of the matrix A is going to be, so I'm going to choose the first number, which is -1, because here's positive sign, so -1 is still the same. And when I choose this number, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this row and cancel this column. That means the left, when I cancel this row and this column, the left is this matrix, which is 0, 1, 1, 0. Then I'm going to move to the next number, which is going to be -2. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this row and this column. So the left 1, 1, 0, 0. So the left is 1, 1, 0, 0. Now plus 1. So I'm gonna plus 1. I'm gonna cancel this column on this row. The left is 1, 0, 0, 1. 0, 1. So now, next step, we're gonna say here is -1. I'm gonna find the determinant for this matrix, which is, I don't have to put this line anymore. 0 times 0 is going to be 0, minus 1 times 1 is going to be 1. Minus, here's 2. Find the determinant here, so it's going to be 1 times 0 and 1 times 0. So 1 times 0 is going to be 0. 1 times 0 is going to be also 0. Plus, here is the 1. 1 times 1 is going to be 1, minus 0 times 0 is going to be 0. Now let's simplify. Here's -1. 0 minus 1 is going to be -1, minus, here's 2, and here is 0, plus, here is 1, and here is 1. So -2 times 0 is going to be 0. That means the result is going to be -1 times -1 is going to be 1, minus -1, 1 times 1. So here is -2, -1, -2, and here is 1, and here is 1. Okay, so 1, this is 0, so 1 times is going to be 1, plus 1 times 1 is going to be 1. So the result is going to be 2. So the determinant for the matrix A is going to be 2. You're going to do the same thing with the determinant for the matrix B. Now, the determinant for the matrix B is going to be plus, minus, plus. So I'm going to start with the first number, which is -1. So I'm going to say here is -1. I need to find the determinant. Cancel this row and this column, so it's going to be 3, 0, 0, 5. So I'm gonna write down 3, 0, and 0, 5. Minus 0. The second number is 0. Determinant of, cancel this column and this row, so it will be 0, 0, 0, 5. Plus, again, we have 0 here. Cancel this column and this row, so we have 0, 3, 0, 0. Now let's simplify this one. So here is -1. Find the determinant here. 3 times 5 is going to be 15. Minus 0 times 0 is going to be 0. Minus, here is the 0. 0 times 5 is going to be 0. And 0 times 0 is going to be 0. Plus, here is again 0. 0 times 0 is going to be 0. Minus 3 times 0 is going to be 0. So if you look here, this is the whole thing is 0. This is also 0. The left here is just -1 times 15, which is equal -15. So the determinant for the matrix B is going to be -15. Now, next step, we're going to find A times B. Which is equal, the matrix A is -1, 2, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, times the matrix B is -1, 0, 0, 0, 3, and 0, 5. Let's do the multiplication, and this one is going to be equal the first row times the first column. So it's going to be -1 times -1 is going to be 1, plus 2 times 0 is going to be 0. 1 times 0 is going to be 0. Now the first row with the second column. So it's going to be -1 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 2 times 3 is going to be 6, plus 1 times 0 is going to be 0. Now the first row with the third column. So -1 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 2 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 1 times 5 is going to be 5. Now, the second row with the first column. So 1 times -1 is going to be -1. 0 times 0 is going to be +0. Here's a plus. And 1 times 0 is going to be also 0. Now, the second row with the second column. So 1 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 0 times 3 is going to be 0. 1 times 0 is going to be +0. The second row with the third column. So it's going to be 1 times 0 is going to be 0. 0 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 1 times 5 is going to be 5. Now the third row with the first column. 0 times -1 is going to be 0. 1 times 0 is going to be 0. 0 times 0 is going to be 0. The third row with the second column. So 0 times 0 is going to be 0. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. And 0 times 0 is going to be 0. The third row with the third column. 0 times 0 is going to be 0. 1 times 0 is going to be 0. And 0 times 5 is going to be 0. That means A times B is going to be, let's write down here. One, this is 6, this is 5, -1, this is 0, And here is also 5. This is 0, 3, and 0. Now, next step, we need to find the determinant for this matrix. So I'm going to plug in this one here. 1, -1, and 0, 6, 0, and 3, and 5, 5, and 0. Let's find the determinant for this matrix. So here is the matrix AB. Now we need to find the determinant for the matrix AB. It's going to be, we're going to do the same thing. This is a plus, minus, plus. That means I'm going to start from 1. So 1 times the determinant, we're going to cancel this row on this column, so 0, 5, 3, 0. Minus, and here is the second number, which is 6. Determinant of cancel this column on this row, so it's going to be -1, 5, 0, and 0. Plus 5, this number here, so I'm going to cancel this column on this row, so it's going to be -1, 0, and 0, 3. Now let's simplify everything. Here is the 1 times. Find the determinant for this matrix. 0 times 0 is going to be 0, minus 5 times 3 is going to be 15. Minus, here is the 6. -1 times 0 is going to be 0, minus 5 times 0 is going to be 0. Plus 5. -1 times 3 is going to be -3. And 0 minus 0 is going to be 0. Let's simplify it more. Here is 1. 0 minus 15 is going to be -15. Minus 6. 0 minus 0 is going to be 0. Plus 5. -3 minus 0 is going to be -3. This one is going to be 0. So the left here is going to be 1 times -15 is -15. And 5 times 3 is going to be -15. So the result is going to be -30. So the determinant for the matrix AB is going to be -30. That's it for this example. We got it right. Let's move to number 8. Evaluate the determinant for this matrix. So let's find the determinant for this matrix. The first thing, this is a plus, minus a plus. So I'm going to start with the first element. So the determinant for this matrix is going to be equal to, cancel this row on this column, so it's going to be -4, 0, 3, and 2. Minus 0. Cancel this row on now the second column, so it's going to be -6, 0, and 5, 2. Plus, and here is 0. Cancel this column on this row, so it's going to be -6, -4, and 5, 3. So now it's going to be 2. Determinant for this matrix, -4 times 2 is going to be -8, minus 0 times 3 is going to be 0. Minus, if you look to this matrix, 0, any number you're going to get here times 0 is going to be 0. Any number you're going to get here times 0 is going to be 0. So this one is 0. If you got here -12 minus 0, a plus 0. I'm just going to do the steps, but this one is going to be 0, and this one is going to be 0. -6 times 3 is going to be -18, minus -4 times 5 is going to be -20. I'm just doing the steps, so you're going to practice. Here is -8 minus, here is 0. This one is -12 plus 0, -18. Negative times negative is going to be +20. So -18 plus 20 is going to be 2. Again, if you look here, 0 times any number is going to be 0. 0 times 2 is going to be 0. So the left on this one is going to be 2 times -8. It's going to be -16. That means the determinant for this matrix is going to be -16. -16. That's it for this example. The last example of section 10.4.